So hello everyone. In this video we are going to deal with the last topic from unit 2.1, which is cultural relativism and ethnocentrism. UPSC in 2022 this year has asked this question, so probably next year it will not be relevant for 20 markers because it was asked in I think 15 markers. It still has a relevance in 10 markers question, so this is still an important question. UPSC repeat this question every 2 to 3 years. You can check from the question paper, because if we are going to deal with this topic 2.1, this is 2.1, this is the most important topic from this unit. All right, so next we are going to see what do we mean by these particular things. Ki, what is it? What is cultural relativism? What is ethnocentrism? And who are these people? William Sumner, Franz Boas, Ruth Benedict, and Hertzkowitz. So, and also one name is Elizabeth. She criticized this cultural relativism basically. So, this is Elizabeth. Now I have written this thing, you have to write it out as much as possible. This is something which is very important as far as this answer is concerned, because if you're writing an answer which is general, it will give you 50% of the marks. But if you add these particular material, you can expect 65% to 70% marks in any questions. Alright, so without wasting time, let's move forward. Okay, so we will be starting with ethnocentrism. Now, what do we mean by this term as an ethnocentrism? Ethnocentrism, it means that this is my culture, this is at center, this is best, this is ideal, this is right, this is true, this is rational, this is the only thing which makes sense. Okay, and anything, any culture over here, 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 here is inferior, secondary, maybe pseudo, and which is they can call it as not right. So what is this ethnocentrism? Ethnocentrism, it means that my culture is superior and your culture is inferior. My culture is primary, your culture is secondary. My culture is right and rational, your culture is wrong and irrational. My culture is true, your culture is pseudo or untrue or not true or false. Okay, so this is basically ethnocentrism. So this is basically was this defined definition was given by William Sumner and in the book Folkways. So William Sumner, the scholar, complete book, complete. This is basically the difference, complete. So definition is very simple. What it is, it is a sociological term which means that my own culture or my own society, my own community is superior than the others. And this ethnocentrism is basically is very much a cause for the degeneration of the society in the today's era, where people believe that their culture is superior, their culture is rational, their god is true, and their god is the only god, then their customs are right, etc. And this is something which is happening in the society, and which is basically ethnocentrism. Okay, next. So the next topic, I hope you might have understand what do I mean by ethnocentrism. So this is the broad perspective on ethnocentrism, as you have understood. Okay, if I move the cursor upwards, you will see this thing that ethnocentrism, we have book scholar, what do I mean, you have to define it. Okay, and I hope definition is not something that you have to ratta. Okay, this is something you don't have to do. Write it in your own language, that what do you mean by ethnocentrism. So for me, what is ethnocentrism? Ethnocentrism is something that a person consider its own culture to be superior, its own culture, customs to be primary, its own logic, morals to be right and rational, and its uh, deity of worship to, against this thing, inferior, secondary, wrong, irrational, and pseudo. So I hope it is clear. Okay, so let's move forward. Next is cultural relativism. Before going to this particular topic, I want to tell you that this ethnocentrism was basically used by Britishers extensively. These people, Britishers, you might have heard white man's burden, white man's burden to civilize the world, civilize world. This is something which is ethnocentric, because they thought that only their culture was superior, only their religion was true, only their beliefs were right. That is something that was considered by Britishers. But in reality, if we move, that is not the true case. Because if you went through the diversity of India, you will find that India is basically a mosaic that will absorb anything which comes to it, and it will make it as a local form. If you have burgers everywhere, aloo tikki is unique to India. That is something we absorb, we localize it, we the globalization and localization. So we local it, we make it global. Whatever that is there in the world, will make it our way. That is India's way. So now I hope ethnocentrism is clear with the examples of Britishers. Now we move to the next topic, which is cultural relativism. Now this term cultural relativism was given by Franz Boas and Ruth Benedict. She was a student of Franz Boas. She also used this term extensively. Also, Hertzkowitz, he has given the definition that culture is man-made part of environment. Okay, remember this thing about him. So these people also advocated cultural relativism. Now, what do I mean by cultural relativism? Cultural relativism, it means it is a perspective that if there is anything, okay, this person is outsider. Okay, imagine that he is from USA. Okay, he is from USA, and he is going to India. Okay, this is India. Okay, he is coming over here, and he's seeing this thing, extensive rituals, puja, people worshipping plants, people worshipping trees, people worshipping anything, stones and everything. And he's shocked, because he thinks that what these people are doing. There's no Jesus Christ over here. There are very limited number of churches. Why there are temples? This is the person, because this is his ethnocentric view, that he's from that community, he's from that culture, that my culture is superior, and etc. Now there are various things about India. So other person also, for example, Franz Boas. Okay, so Franz Boas, he comes to India and he sees this thing, that there are various customs, where there are various practices, there is n number of traits, cultural traits, complexes, patterns, okay, etc., are there in the society. And he says that don't look at according to your perspective, that you're from USA, okay, you're from USA. Don't look it from that perspective. You understand it from the perspective of India, that what it means to a Indian. And that is what a cultural relativism means, that you have to look at a thing from their perspective, not from our perspective. So it is as simple as that. Cultural relativism. So what do I simply mean by it is that and okay, so this is something that I have been already covered. So basically what does cultural relativism says is a simple fact, that if I'm going to look at your culture, I'm going to look it from the merits of it, or I'm going to look it from your perspective. I will not judge what is there. Okay, for example, just understand this thing, that there is cross cousin marriage, cross cousin marriage, or sometime parallel cousin marriage. Now what is this cousin marriage, cross cousin, parallel cousin? We will be dealing in chapter, that is marriage unit. Will be dealing in the same unit in the next classes. So these cousin marriage are common in Muslims. Okay, this is common. But if a person from US who is Christian will look at it, he'll say that this is a very barbaric thing, that there are marriages happening between the family. Though there might be a lot of things that we can say about USA, but we are not going to talk about that. But mostly we are talking about the marriages, cross cousin, parallel cousin marriages. So person from USA will be like, what is this? This is something, he'll basically not understand that thing. That is his ethnocentric perspective. Now a person from a cultural relativist background will look first why. First they will go to what it is, then they'll go to this topic of why they are doing. They'll find the relevance. Okay, they'll try to substantiate. Okay, and they'll try to understand it according to their perspective. Okay, their perspective, according to perspective of a Muslim, not from a Christian. So similar, there are various things. For example, for Hindus, cows are sacred. Okay, for Christians, maybe they do a lot of consumption of beef. Okay, so this is something, if a person from Hindu will go to USA or something, and he'll find this thing, his feelings are going to hurt. Okay, when a Christian will come to India, he'll see that cows are worshipped and are not butchered the way they does. He'll also feel that difference between them. So that is nothing but the views between the ethnocentrism and cultural relativism. So look at the things the way they are, according to their perspective, and leave all the biasedness behind. Okay, and you have to have open mind. Now this looks very nice, very beautiful, that cultural relativism is something which is giving us power to, things, deal with the things. But cultural relativism also makes us silent on various aspects. For example, what ethnocentrists say, that our culture is superior, what we are doing is good, what they are doing is bad, what we are doing is right, what they're doing is right wrong, what we are doing is rational, what they're doing is irrational. Cultural relativism is saying that you're not primary, they are not secondary, you both are having your own merits. Nothing, your beliefs and their beliefs, no two beliefs are wrong, both beliefs are right, and I'm going to study it on the merit of that, and I'm going to consider your perspective while studying, and I'm not going to impose my belief. Now comes Elizabeth. Now Elizabeth Iliad, she basically says that this cultural relativism, it sounds good, right? Everyone have studied it, that cultural relativism means I'm going to understand your perspective, I'm going to study it with your perspective. So this thing also used for curbing human rights. Now this is a darker side of it. The darker side of cultural relativism, it is curbing the human rights. Now you'll ask me why. I'll tell you. Sati, do you know, you might know about this thing, Sati. Parda, genital mutilation, Dawoodi Bohra community, Parda, Muslims, Sati, ancient, medieval, particularly Hindus, child marriage. For example, various communities consider puberty as basically uh, the attainment of marriages. So 13 years is something that a girl is married off in various communities. Then there are so many things that I can write over here. Um, these are something that I have accepted. Even slavery, I have missed it. Even the genocide of Jews, or genocides of Hindus, genocide of various other communities which are done by various other communities. So these certain aspects, are they justifiable? No. In a modern world when where we are living, we do not feel the need of these type of practices. We mostly believe in independence, we mostly believe in uh, freedom and etc. But this cultural relativism says that sati is right in their own thing, parda is right in their own thing, genital mutilation is right in their own thing, child marriage is also right in their, slavery and genocides are also right. So cultural relativism is not pointing towards the wrong. So this is basically the criticism which was given by Elizabeth. She said that you have to, as an anthropologist, the need is not only to study, but also you have to understand what the society is, and you have to be a social driver. Okay, you have to be in the driving seat for changing certain ill beings, wrongdoings in the society. And that is something which was being told by Elizabeth. Because if you see this thing, you can clearly say that these two things are definitely against each other. This is not something that human rights and all these things are sitting in the same couch. This can't happen. What I'm trying to say here is that cultural relativism is used, it is used to curb human rights, which was also UPSC has asked this question between 20, I think 18 to 21. So this was question was asked by UPSC, that cultural relativism and human rights, because cultural relativism is used to subjugate this, and this was also a question in 2020 22. If you are following the question paper analysis, you might have seen this question because it was there and it was very interesting question to write mostly. So you have understood this thing. So this is the end. Okay, this is end for 2.1. so this is 2.1 is over. Okay, and now we'll move to 5 topics daily. We'll complete 1 unit. Okay, in this way you will have you will develop the interest, you will learn what anthropology is. And see, you whatever I'm saying, you have to make notes out of it. Okay, whatever I'm writing, you have to make notes out of it. uh, if I'm giving a definition, pause it, write it down. Okay, and that is the only way you're going to make these notes. See, there are 20 markers, 15 markers, and 10 markers. You're going to write at least 300 words here, 250 words here, and 150 words over here. You have to understand that you should have content of at least 300 words on each and every topic, and that is a prerequisite. Because if you are going to deal with it, there are over 500 topics in anthropology in paper 1 and paper 2, and believe me, we can do this topic not more than 50 days time frame if we go for like 10 topics per day. But we are going to extend our studies. We'll be doing 5 to 10 topics every day, and that is how we are going to complete it. So I wish you good luck and have a really great time ahead.